Hello and welcome to another edition of the Robinhood Stock of the Week. Today I want to talk about American Airlines, the largest airline in North America. We will go through the history of American Airlines, we'll look in the management, go deeper into the financial numbers, and then come to the conclusion if American Airlines is a buy right now or not. So let's go. But before we start, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment. Thank you. American Airlines was founded in 1926 in Chicago as a union of more than 80 small airlines. Today, American Airlines have more than 133,000 employees and a revenue of around $43 billion. It is the largest airline in North America, right before Delta Airlines. Then dive deeper into the very interesting financial numbers. American Airlines, of course, is hit by the pandemic situation as hard as every other airline or every other company in the travel industry. In the Q1, they made a loss of over $2 billion. They have to suspend their buybacks and their dividend, and they needed help from the US government. The hit in the Q2 could be even harder. Their estimate for the second quarter is that passenger revenue will fall over 91%. But even before the pandemic situation, American Airlines, there was not a lot of growth in the revenue. Over the last 5 years, there was just a growth of 1.5% per year, as we can see here. But of course, under normal circumstances, the long-term air traffic will still growing. The forecast is that it will grow to 10 billion passengers in 2040. American Airlines, as most of the airlines, works on very slim margins. Even under normal circumstances, there was seldom a net margin over 10%, and also the return on investment is very low. Also, the picture of the free cash flow looks not very nice. This is very unstable and not very high. American Airlines, even before the pandemic, was barely profitable. And also, when we look at the balance sheet, it doesn't look very good for American Airlines. They have a sky-high long-term debt of over $21 billion. And even in normal situation, the debt-equity ratio was very high. But not just the long-term debt is very high, also the current ratio looks terrible. It is as a current ratio of 0.37. So just as an explanation, the current ratio just looks at the current assets and the current liabilities. Current ratio of 0.37 just means that the current liabilities are almost 3 times higher than the current assets. And that, of course, it's a terrible picture. And also when we look at the shareholder equity, it makes the things not better, even worse. Even at the end of 2019, and so before the pandemic situation, there was barely a shareholder equity left. Then take a look at the management of American Airlines. The current CEO of American Airlines is Doug Parker. He took over as a CEO in 2013. Let's take a look at the stock chart since then. When Mr. Parker took over as a CEO, the stock price was around $15. Now it's a little bit under $12. And as we can see on the chart, and as it's normal for a cyclic business like an airline, it's a roller coaster. But we can see also that American Airlines has its peak in 2018 with a price of over $55 and then just started the downtrend. And then, of course, the current problems with the pandemic are just like the cherry on the pie. But even before there was obviously big problems, first and foremost, the big problem with Boeing and the necessary grounding of the bought airplanes. But anyways, beside that, it looks like this company was in big trouble even before the pandemic. So far, it looks like the management has no answer to all of these problems. Then take a look at the current price. Obviously, it's very difficult to find an intrinsic value for a business which just burns money right now, because if they will burn money, even in the future, then at some point it's very easy to find an intrinsic value because it will be zero. It will be bankruptcy. But just imagine everything go back to normal, then my intrinsic value would be around $25 to $30. And so there would be around 100% chance of gain. But of course, not just for American Airlines, it's for every other business in the travel industry. It could be a very long way go to back to normal, and I'm not so sure how long American Airlines can stand this situation. Also, I'm not very convinced in the company. I'm also not so convinced in the management. So what's my conclusion then? American Airlines is the largest airline in North America in a still very growing sector of air traffic. But these are just the only positive things. American Airlines was even before the pandemic barely profitable. They have a super high debt. Because of that, there is likely the risk of bankruptcy or maybe even another bailout out of the government. But anyways, if bankruptcy, of course, but also another bailout of the government, it would be very bad for the shareholders of American Airlines. And so American Airlines right now is no investment for me. As you maybe know, I own some shares of an airline. I bought some shares of Air Canada in the middle of the pandemic situation. And if you watched my video and my analysis of Air Canada, you will find the big differences between Air Canada and American Airlines and why I think Air Canada is a way better investment. But of course, also Air Canada is very risky as all of the travel stocks right now. So really take care of that. And if you want to invest in travel industries businesses, just be careful and just take small positions because bankruptcy is a real possible thing. But of course, if you just want to trade, American Airlines or all the airlines could be nice stocks to just to trade, to day trade or whatever, because of the high volatility right now. And of course, I mean, if they can turn around things, then a high reward is waiting. I'm just not convinced, and especially I'm not convinced with American Airlines. That's it for today. If you like the video, subscribe to my channel. Give me a thumbs up. This helps my little channel really much, and I really appreciate that. And ring the notification bell to never miss another video. We will see the next time on Wednesday, then with a portfolio update and the analysis of another stock out of my watch list. Take care for so long. Have a great weekend. Bye bye.